Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons from the Conservatives who purport to care about poverty and Canadians when every single time they vote against those supports, $10 a day childcare, early learning and childhood education, they're not supporting our budgetary measures to put food in school lunch boxes for 400,000 children, Mr. Speaker. It's unbelievable that they will at one hand say they support Canadians and on the other hand vote against those supports every single time.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
Hey gang, what's up? Just Aaron right here, Canadian Looney. Do you miss Question Period? It's been a while. They've been out since June. They're coming back September 17th, I believe. We're going to take a look at one of the more interesting debates on the floor. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre smashes through President of the Treasury Board, ANITA ANAND, and she is a piece. She will take no advice from these conservatives, won't learn from her own mistakes, their own blunders, their terrible policies, and then Mark Holland gets up and makes a goof of himself. Pierre Poilievre's a stud, and he has other great soldiers in his army, like Melissa Lantsman. We'll take a peek at her as well. She's a great debater in the House of Commons, especially in Question Period. She's great. Let's take a look. Pierre Poilievre slams through them. Melissa Lantsman backs him up right afterwards. Let's take a look. Question Period's coming back. Canadian Looney will be there covering it. We'll be covering it live. Like, subscribe, share, get notified, all those fun things. Let's take a look at some Question Period. And these Liberals, man, they're making it so easy in the next election for the Conservatives to win a major majority. That's the way it seems to me. Let's take a look.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
After 9 years, this NDP Liberal Prime Minister is not worth the homelessness and hunger. He doubled the debt, increased taxes and caused inflation, but said it was all to fund generous programs that would end homelessness. Well, homelessness is now up 38%, and a quarter of Canadians are skipping meals because they can't afford them. That's because his greedy government is consuming everything Canadians earn. Why is the NDP and Liberals forcing Canadians to feed this morbidly obese government instead of feeding their families?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons from the Conservatives who purport to care about poverty and Canadians when every single time they vote against those supports, $10 a day childcare, early learning and childhood education, they're not supporting our budgetary measures to put food in school lunch boxes for 400,000 children, Mr. Speaker. It's unbelievable that they will at one hand say they support Canadians and on the other hand vote against those supports every single time. Thank you, Mr.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I'm grateful that the member points out that we have voted against every single policy that has caused homelessness to rise by 38%. We have voted against every single inflationary policy that has forced 1/4 of Canadians to skip meals because they can't afford a meal on their table. Mr. Speaker, the government has doubled the debt, increased inflation, and blocked home building. Why is it that they force Canadians to feed this morbidly obese government rather than feeding their families?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, our government is actually focused on keeping inflation low so that interest rates can come down. And I will note that inflation has come down below the targeted range of 3%. And at the same time, Mr. Speaker, we have Budget 2024. We have supports for renters. We have supports for affordable housing. We have a national school food program on the table, Mr. Speaker, and we will continue to support Canadians with dental, with early childhood education, all the while the Conservatives vote against. Mr. Speaker, there's no plan on that side of the House. We will support.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
She repeats the same costly promises the Prime Minister has been breaking for 9 years. Mr. Speaker, in a 6-week period, 50 homeless encampments have opened in Toronto. Let that sink in. There are a total of 256 tent cities in Toronto alone.
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't like this before this Prime Minister, and it won't be like this after he's gone. Will he admit that everything is broken after 9 years of his government?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Of course, Mr. Speaker, when that member was a minister and had responsibility for housing, that there were more than 2 million more Canadians living in poverty. And the number of times that he talked about vulnerable people or taking action to help homeless, 0. He wants to hold out to people in a time of difficulty across the world that the solution is to cut the programs they need, to take away dental care, to take away pharmacare, and shame on him for it. We will stand up for vulnerable people in a way he never has.
Honourable member from Thornhill.
A hat trick for the Prime Minister, but not the good type. 3 reports released in just one day paint a devastating picture of life in Canada after 9 years of this NDP Liberal government. Food Banks Canada, the Salvation Army, and the Parliamentary Budget Officer all say there is more homelessness and there is more hunger. They kept telling us that they're spending our money for our own good, and everything is fine, and it's not their fault. Mr. Speaker, it's been 9 years. Right. Whose fault is it?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, grocery price inflation is coming down. 1.4% in April, down from 1.9% a month before. This is encouraging news, certainly for Canadians, but it's important to know that our government put forward the most comprehensive package of competition reforms in Canadian history. Why? Because more competition equals better prices. But it's a bit rich for the Conservatives to point to food bank lineups when they oppose a national school food program that's going to feed over 400,000 kids across Canada.
The Honourable member from Thornhill.
And 9 years later, it hasn't fed a single child. They just don't get it. The very policies that they have delivered has given us the worst quality of life in half a century, the worst since the last Trudeau ran this place. In the past 3 months, 25% of young adults have had to go to a food bank in this country, 38% more homelessness after they promised to end it, and about 50% of Canadians are worse off this year than they were last year. How does this government have so much money to spare while ordinary Canadians are literally going hungry and homeless?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Quite the statement from the Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party. My advice to her is to actually read the report from the Parliamentary Budget Officer. In that report, she will see that no less than 50,000 Canadians are supported by the National Housing Strategy, specifically the Reaching Home program that they would cut. We know they champion an austerity agenda. This also from the Deputy Leader, who made clear only a few weeks ago on a yacht, no less, Mr. Speaker, that less homes have to be built in Canada. They're siding with the NIMBYs. We want to build more homes, including for the most vulnerable in this country, Mr. Speaker.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
So I am excited that Question Period is coming back. Canadian Looney will be covering them all and we'll be doing it live. That's going to be the deal. So like, subscribe, share, get notified. Getting notified is important. And also, leave a comment on any of these videos. I love the comments. We always get back to them. That's it. We're going to wrap up this video. ANITA ANAND does not have any lessons to learn from these Conservatives. What a bum. None of these Liberals seem to be willing to learn from their own mistakes as they dig our hole deeper. Anyways, we'll be following it, guys. So like, subscribe, share, get notified, all those fun things. My name's Aaron. This is Canadian Looney. We'll be covering Question Period when it returns, and that won't be long. September 17th, I think. Looking forward to it. Anyhow, till then, we'll catch you next video. Thanks for watching this one. See you next time.